Hey guys, Nicolai here. Today's video is sponsored by ProGuides. If you want to win all of your provisionals this season or rank up in general, stay tuned till the end of the video to learn more. Now with that being said, let's get into Annie. Well, not like that. League of Legends was released to the world on October 27, 2009, and initially only had 40 playable champions. One of those champions was Annie, the Dark Child. And since the beginning of the game, Annie has honestly been quite relevant, as well as genuinely a top tier champion at times. At one point, Annie was even the champion with the most skins in the game, which is 11 skins as of making this video. Along with that, she also had multiple standings at having the highest win rate in her lane. For a long time, Annie was beloved by the fans, and alongside the fans, she was also supported and pushed to the top by Riot Games themselves.
However,
Annie's popularity peaked in 2015, where she was one of the most played and banned champions in the game. But flash forward to today and you can barely remember the last time you saw Annie on your team. So, what happened to Annie? Now, just for transparency, I actually used to love Annie. Chill. Annie, along with Garen and Warwick, were the champions that got me into the game way back when. Specifically because I used to play on a laptop trackpad. However, I ended up leaving Annie for Warwick, which I played all the way until he got reworked. I genuinely can't explain this. But anyway, back to Annie. What I want to do first is showcase as much relevant data about Annie that we can get our hands on. Although she had moments of extreme popularity and favoritism, today on the most played champions list, Annie sits at number 103. That of course is out of 143 champions. Additionally, if we look at just mid lane, she is also very low in popularity, while sitting at number 29 out of 41. Yasuo of course is number 1. Now this data is for ranked and normal games. So what about on the big stage? How has Annie held up in major esports tournaments? Well, honestly, this graph is pretty accurate for her esport career as well. Because in 2015, Annie was picked a staggering
315 times.
And then everything after that was downhill. In 2016, right after being picked
315 times,
she was only chosen once. Followed by 2017, where she came up a little and got picked 2 times. She happened to lose both games she was chosen in though. And then most recently in 2018, Annie was picked a whole 0 times. Also, since we're on this topic, I thought this was an interesting fun fact. The mid lane legend himself, Faker, has actually never once picked Annie in any major tournament, despite playing over 650 games. And that kinda says something. I'm not exactly sure what, but it certainly does say something. Although Faker has never played Annie, there is someone who explicitly only plays Annie. I cannot make a video about Annie without talking about AnnieBot. The myth and the legend AnnieBot has played Annie in over 18,000 games. But real quick, for those who don't know, who is AnnieBot? Well, AnnieBot is a popular streamer who one-tricks Annie.
however,
Just being insane enough to dedicate your time to exclusively only play one champion in League of Legends isn't enough for people to care about you. AnnieBot certainly brought attention to himself for being so exclusive with Annie, but he is also very effective with Annie. In 2013, AnnieBot made a post on the League of Legends subreddit titled "It took me 1,960 Annie games, but I finally hit Challenger." Since then, AnnieBot has continued to be a successful high elo player and streamer. Although currently, Annie isn't treating him too well in Season 9. Now a question you surely might have is, why does this person just play Annie? Well, here's a clip of Tobias Fate and AnnieBot himself talking about this.
So, do you just really like pirates? Is that why you play a lot of GP?
No, he's just broken, so I want to abuse him.
Oh, okay.
Hell no, you kidding me? I love pirates. What's the reason you like Annie? Oh, we ain't gonna go there.
Okay, turn that conspiracy music on. In this video that we just watched, it may seem that AnnieBot is fond of Annie because they're potentially fond of children. AnnieBot's real name is actually Jared. Coincidentally, this is also the same name of ex-Subway spokesperson Jared Fogle. Although this Jared didn't enjoy playing with Annie on League of Legends. Instead, Jared Fogle was arrested in 2015 and pled guilty in federal court to possessing child pornography.
A multi-millionaire who made his fortune by being a relatable everyman has become one of the most reviled men in America.
But this has absolutely nothing to do with AnnieBot. I follow AnnieBot a fair bit, and I often see that tired out,
Haha. He plays Annie because he likes little kids XD.
but in reality he actually talked about why he got into maining Annie. In 2015, ironically the same year that Jared Fogle got arrested, AnnieBot did a little Q&A about maining Annie, where he was asked the question, why did you start playing her in the first place? To which he basically said that he was just playing a co-op versus AI match and came across an AnnieBot that completely destroyed him. And because of that, he decided he wanted to play Annie, and eventually ended up maining her. And that's where the name AnnieBot came from. Now on that note, before we continue with Annie, this video would not be possible without today's sponsor, ProGuides. ProGuides is the easiest way to master League of Legends quickly and effectively. They're backed by some of the biggest professional players and they have detailed courses for any concept you're struggling with. If you have any questions at all after watching a video, you can use Genius, where a master or challenger player will answer any questions you have. Overall, ProGuides is a great way to hit your dream rank and they've just recently went free to use, so there's no better time to try them out than today. Check out the link in the description to get started. Now with that being said, let's get back into Annie. So really, to end this video, one of the more significant questions that comes with her fall from grace is simply, why did Annie lose her popularity? Well, since her peak, which for the sake of this video, let's point it to be at around the middle of 2014, where she maintained a strong relevance until the following year. Now, as I was saying, since her peak, Riot Games has went on to release and rework over 31 champions. And 9 of these champions would go on to directly compete with Annie as a player's preferred mid laner. At the end of the day, Annie is a very simple champion, perhaps even the most simple champion in the whole game. And Riot Games themselves don't make champions anywhere near as simple anymore. If anything, at times it seems they try to add as much as they can to a champion's kit. However, simple does not mean bad. Players may have gotten bored of Annie over time, and sure, Riot has given her some nerfs that did set her back a bit. But despite her popularity going down, Annie currently has an over 50% win rate, which is honestly quite good. To put that number into perspective, Yasuo currently has a 48% win rate. I actually played some Annie myself while making this video, and it was quite successful. Honestly, I probably might become an Annie main myself. But before that, I'm honestly quite hungry. Allow me to go get a bite from Subway.